Our minds are so easily influenced. It's a beautiful thing, but also could be a potentially bad thing, depending on what you're choosing to surround yourself by. And in today's episode, I want to put the intention on choosing what is influencing you. From the moment we are brought into this world, we are just absorbing information, absorbing new neural pathways, and just new emotions, new insights. We're absorbing everything that's around us, whether it's something positive or something negative. We are absorbing it. And that has been the case for our entire lives, and that's going to continue to be the case because that is just what humans do. That is what our brains do. That's what we're capable of. We're capable of absorbing information and creating a reality based on the information that we've absorbed and the emotions that we've absorbed. And so, whenever you're a kid, you obviously don't have control over that. You absorb what you're around, what your environment is, and your family and your friends and the school you're in or the neighborhood you're growing up in. Whatever's around you, you don't really have much control over. You're just kind of there, existing, absorbing it all, and it's slowly programming you into becoming who you're going to be as an adult, or, a young adult or a teenager. And eventually, it gets to a point of you're making those choices. You are choosing who you're around. You're choosing who you're being influenced by. You're choosing what environments you're in. You're choosing who you're surrounding yourself by, and you're choosing what you're consuming. And so the focus here is, what are you consuming? What are you being influenced by? And is it in alignment with who you want to be and where you want to go with your life? In a couple episodes ago, maybe it was the last episode, I was mentioning how a lot of things had to be removed from my life recently, and I had to let go of some things, and those things that I had to let go of, were heavily influencing me. And, my brain is still developing. I'm 23, my frontal lobe is not fully developed, so I'm still in my very big learning stage of life. I absorb everything that's around me. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly picking up on new cues or new emotions or new words, and sometimes I feel like a little kid still learning all the time, especially because I'm in a new place, I'm surrounded by new people, and I'm in a big city, so there's so much going on. I feel so just aware of everything. But one thing that I've noticed that I haven't been fully aware of is how much it's actually influencing me. When I was younger in middle school, I was in band. I played the clarinet growing up, and I absolutely loved it. I was really good. I still have my clarinet. And by the time 8th grade came around, I decided that I was no longer going to be in band. And at the same time, a bunch of my friends who were in band also made that decision. And I will never forget when my band teacher was like, "Maggie, are you making this decision because you actually want to quit, or because your friends are making that decision?" And I was like, because I want to quit. Because truthfully, I had pros and cons. I loved it. I really loved playing the clarinet, but I hated being a part of band. I hated marching band. I hated sitting at the pep rallies. And I also started doing dance. I kind of just quit everything going into 8th grade and focused on dance. But I'll never forget that moment. And it's really funny because I just had another incident similar to that at my job. They want us to train something new, and a lot of the employees are pushing back, and at first I was like, maybe, and then I started pushing back, and she was just like, "I understand where you guys are coming from, but just make sure you're making your own decisions based off of what you want." And I was like, that's true. That is so true. You have to make decisions based off of you. not the others around you, not others' opinions. And even if all of my other coworkers choose not to go with the training, if that's what aligns most with me, I'm gonna do it. Because I'm not gonna choose and make decisions for my own life based off of the opinions and the choices of others. Because what kind of life is that? And that's why it's so important to be aware and really sit with yourself. Having a balance of your own thoughts and ideas compared to other people's thoughts and ideas, there has to be a balance. You can't just be consuming other people's ideas 24/7, because then you're just never having any thoughts of your own. And that's not how you create your dream life. But I also think it's important to allow yourself to be inspired or motivated by others' thoughts or their ideas. Making sure that it does inspire you or motivate you and that is aligned. Because you don't have to receive what isn't aligned. You close that door and you walk the other way. Nobody's telling you that you have to do that. But it is important to stay open-minded and stay in that receiving mindset. Being able to receive ideas, but also being able to take those ideas in and really decipher how you want to move forward with that. Whether that idea is really beneficial for you and you want to move forward with that exact idea, or, you take that idea in and it's like, okay, but this suits me better, so I'm going to do that, but that was a really good idea. Thank you. It's that easy. Another thing that we're influenced by is just, one, social media. We literally have influencers. They are making posts to influence you to buy something or to go somewhere or to do something. That's all social media is. That's all advertisement is. That's what 80% of this world around us is just influence to do, say, speak, believe, or want something. And so you have to be super picky with what you're being influenced by. And of course, whenever you're just driving around the city, you can't choose what's around you. You can't choose the billboards, you can't choose the ads, but you can choose how it affects you. Just observe it. You don't have to take it in. But when it comes to your own personal social media or the own media that you're consuming, whether it's movies, TV shows, books, podcasts, audiobooks, making sure that it's aligned and that it's inspiring you and it's motivating you. Having that balance. When you do go on social media and you do choose to consume others' media and content, put a limit on it. Ask yourself, what's my intention with going on social media today? Do you even have an intention, or is it just a natural routine? Is it just an instinct now? Like, oh, I woke up, time to check all my socials. Oh, I just got home from work, time to check everything. Oh, I got a DM. Well, let me read that and then go scroll for 10 minutes. Like, what is your intention? I think it's super important. You can set an intention with every single thing that you do, whether it's super simple or, it may seem meaningless, but it has a purpose and it really does make an impact. If you tell yourself, I'm going on Instagram today so I can put out my own content, or I can be inspired by some ideas for this project that I'm working on. Or, if you want to give yourself 20 minutes to just mind scroll, so be it. That's your own choice. But have an intention behind it. Give yourself a time limit. Don't just sit there for hours, because we get lost. It's so easy to get lost in that whenever you just go into it with no intention. And I just got home recently from my workout group that I go to every Wednesday. Win It Wednesdays. So amazing. Burnt the fuck out of my back. God, we love it. I even put on sunscreen. But anyways, one thing that I really took away from today's workout, I almost said episode, today's workout, it feels like an episode, honestly. My whole life is a movie. Movies don't have episodes. My whole life is a show. But one thing that I really took away from today's workout is Style. He's the leader of this group, and he was just saying the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. Unsuccessful people are reacting to life. They're reacting to whatever is coming their way. They're not actively really making choices to go where they want to be. They're just reacting to it. You know, like, oh, this is what happened today. And that's it. But successful people are taking action and they're creating it. They are creating it. And they're not just reacting to life. They wake up and they choose what they're going to do. You know, of course you don't have control of everything, but they have a plan and a goal in mind. And one thing that I've been doing a lot that's been really helping is actually planning out my week. And you know, you could start with just planning out your day, but plan out your week, or plan out your month, or plan out the next 5 months, or the next 5 years. You know, have some ideas for what you want. Have goals. You know, if you've been listening to my podcast and you don't have goals for yourself, I'm happy you're still here, but have some goals. Set some goals. Let this be a reminder if you don't. You know, set the intention to really try to plan and create what you want. Because it's not just going to come to you. You have to really know what you want in this life. You don't need to know exactly how it's going to happen, because nobody knows that. But you need to have a pretty good idea of what it is that you even want, so the world knows what to start sending your way or who to start sending your way. You know? That's how success happens. You know, I came to LA because I wanted to really start building my modeling and acting career more, and I wanted to find more community, and I wanted to be in LA, and I wanted to be closer to the beach. And you know, that's what I'm doing, and I'm taking all the steps to continue to push that forward. You know, I'm getting my digitals done. I'm creating my actors reel. I'm going to events. I'm connecting with new people. I'm networking. I'm putting myself out there because that's what I want. That is what I want for myself. You know, it's having the wants, but also taking the action to get yourself there. The intention and the action and the vision in your mind. What is it? Create that for yourself. And going into that, I have a question for you. Who is your role model for success? Who do you look up to whenever you think about the life that you want for yourself? Maybe it's one person, maybe it's multiple. You know, maybe it's somebody close to you, maybe it's somebody you've never met. Maybe it's just someone you're inspired by. But who is that? And are they really aligned with where you want to be? You know, are their actions and their choice of words really aligned with where you're going? And if they are, amazing. But if they're not, maybe try to find more people that are actually aligned. You know, it's okay to like somebody and care about somebody, but have them at a distance because they're not helping you get closer to where you actually want to be. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we have one life. We have one life. And you know, one thing that we're always going to be shown is that some people are just in our lives for a season. You know, they come in, they serve their purpose, and then they're gone. And then you meet new people, and you know, that's just kind of how life goes. And I feel like that can also be the same thing with who we look up to. You know, because a lot of us, we look up to our families or, you know, the business people that we have around. Like, what are they actually doing? Are you just inspired by the fact that they have a lot of money? Or are you actually inspired by who they are as a human being? Because that's a big difference right there. A lot of people have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that you need to be focused on who they are or what they're doing. You know, money's going to come. If you're in alignment, money is going to come. That's a guarantee. And so just making sure you're choosing alignment and focusing on what you're filling your mind with. Even with music, like there's so much music that I just don't listen to anymore. And I barely go out anymore because I'm like, I love music, But the music that's playing at clubs, I just can't fucking do it. That is not my vibe. The energy is so low, and I just can't do it. Like, my Friday nights have been consisting of jazz concerts over a club. And that's just, for me, that's my choice. Because I love jazz, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel inspired, and it makes me want to be on that stage playing my clarinet again. Just like experiences like that. Or what books you're reading, what movies you're watching. What are those characters actually like? Is that somebody that motivates you or inspires you, whether it's a character or not? Your brain doesn't know the difference because you're just consuming it. Whatever you consume, that's just what your brain knows, is that you're consuming it. And it makes you feel some type of way. So just make sure it makes you feel good. But at the end of the day, just make sure that with everything that you're consuming and all the people that you're around, just make the choices that you want for your life. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone is going to have an opinion all the time about everything. If you open your life up to someone or you share to someone, they're always going to have an opinion. And that's great. It's good to have outside opinions. It's good to have outside thoughts and ideas. But at the end of the day, make sure that you are making choices because you simply want to make that choice. Because it is going to get you closer to where you want to be and who you want to be. And make sure that you're not making it out of fear or out of judgment. Because that is the worst thing. It's the worst feeling, too. Like, it never feels good to do that. And, I recently got an opportunity to go on this trip. And I was like, okay, this could be a really great time. It'd be a fabulous trip. But are the people that are on this trip really somebody that I want to spend that much time with? And do I feel motivated by them? Do I feel inspired by them? Do I feel comfortable around them? And the answer was no. And it was like, as amazing that trip would be, the energy's just not worth it. And I can take myself to those places. Or another trip is going to come about that's more aligned. Because the way I see it, if I were to go on that trip, I am sending a key signal to the world that is something that I'm okay with. That energy, that vibe, and just what is happening. I am letting the world know I'm okay with that. I accept that. And I don't. So why would I do that? And for me to reject that trip, I'm sending a key signal to the world. I do not accept that. Send me something that aligns better. It was close. It was almost there, but I need more alignment. Because that's just not it. And that's okay. You got to turn things down. The same way we constantly get rejected, you have to reject things in your life as well. I've been really loving just saying no. Say no. Reject things. If it doesn't suit you, it doesn't suit you. Not everyone's for you. Not everything's for you. Not every opportunity's for you. And you can't do anything about that. You can't please everybody. And the world can't please you with everything that it has to offer. Because not everything is in alignment. So just make sure that you are actually making choices that send those signals of this is the path that I want. This is the alignment that I'm on. This is the vibration that I'm on, the frequency I'm on. Because the more you accept things that are off of your frequency, the more those things are going to come. So just choose what frequency you want to be at. Where do you want to vibrate? Do you want to vibrate high or do you want to vibrate low? Or somewhere in between? That's up to you. I personally want to vibrate high. And so I'm only going to accept the people and the places and the opportunities that are on that same frequency. Because that's where I want to be. And that's where my dream life is at. Because you have that choice. You have that power to create. You have that power to choose your frequency every single day, every single moment. If something shifts it off, Check yourself. Ask yourself. Observe. I've been reading a book recently that I got from my retreat in Costa Rica, and it's called The Four Sacred Secrets. And I am really enjoying it, and I'm getting back into a reading stage again where I just want to consume some good vibes. And I was spending a lot more time alone, and this book is really powerful, and it's focusing on just, at least the chapter that I'm currently reading, it's just focusing on observing. If something happens or someone says something to you and it makes you feel some type of way, observe how you are reacting. What thoughts are coming about, what emotions are coming up, and just observe it. Don't try to shut it off. Don't try to change it. Just observe it. And that instantly, just eases the mind. It eases the situation. Because if you just react, then it's like, you probably didn't mean what you said, or you probably didn't mean to do that, and now you're having to apologize. But if you're just in that moment and you're just observing, for example, I came out of my house this morning to go to work, and I found my scooter knocked over on the ground, because I'm assuming somebody was trying to steal it last night. That's not very satisfying. It's not very pleasing at all, especially at 5 a.m. when I have to go to work. Not fun. But, I just sat with myself. It was like, getting mad, getting frustrated is not going to change that situation. The scooter was on the ground. It was fine. It almost didn't start, but we got her to start. She's good. I've been riding her around all day. But I'd say that was just a key moment for my life. I could have chose to get super mad, super frustrated, called out of work, been pissed off all day, like, what the fuck, man? Who's touching my fucking scooter? And of course those thoughts came out. I was just sitting there trying to envision, like, who the fuck was on my scooter? And why was it on the ground? It was just valid reactions, valid questions. And I'm still curious about it. But there's peace, I can't do anything about that except for take more preventative cautions. Luckily I had my steering lock on, and I'm assuming that that's why it was on the ground, because they realized it was just gonna go in circles. So that's fun. I had a little laugh about that. It was like, oh, and they really didn't get far. It was like maybe a foot away from where I had it parked. But now I'm getting a tire lock, and so they can't even move it at all. Preventative cautions, and maybe I'll park it somewhere else. But there's no value in me getting upset about that. That's a fault on me, because I didn't have my tire lock on whenever it's in the seat, And of course I can't control whether some crackheads of the streets want to come fuck with my scooter. They have that right. It's not a good right, and I wish they didn't, but it's outside. It's on the side of the street, and I'm sleeping. What am I going to do? And so I just have to let go of control of that situation and take preventative cautions and just choose how I'm reacting to it. There's peace in it. I'm just grateful that I still have my scooter, and that I could still get to work this morning and go to my workout and come home. That's what I'm happy about. That is what I'm grateful for. And that's what I was telling myself at 5 a.m. this morning. It was like, you know what? As much as this may piss me off right now, I'm grateful that I'm pissed off on my scooter. Because I could be pissed off not on my scooter. And I don't want that. And so that's the difference. Just observing. I'm pissed off, but I'm still on my scooter. And so there's a joy in that. There's peace in that. And now I can just make better choices moving forward. And that's kind of all I got for you today. Just being super intentional with what you're consuming, who you're surrounding yourself with, and what you're being influenced by. And even if your frontal lobe is fully developed, you're still being heavily influenced by everything around you. Whether it's the actions of your friends, or just the things that you're watching or the people at your job. We're all influenced all the time, no matter how old you are, no matter how experienced you are, no matter anything. You're always being influenced by something. So just make sure that that something is good and positive and inspiring. And I love y'all. And I appreciate you for tuning in every single Thursday on The Magical Lane. And like and share if you enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends, share it with the people that need it the most. Drop some comments, hit subscribe, and